right there, which is Club Med, and all the hotels at Cancun, we're going to fly and take a side trip to the pyramids there, Chichen Itza, the pyramids of the Yucatan Peninsula, which is just a little ways from there. So we took a side trip to go to Chichen Itza. So we're flying out of Club Med, and here's Chichen Itza. Now this is the ball court that is at Chichen Itza. They'd have a ring on each side of that wall, and there's the other wall, and they have a ring, and each team would then have to shoot the ball through that ring. And the losing team, well, we're not going to say what happened to the losing team. You didn't want to lose. So you were fighting for your life when you played this game. So it was a pretty vicious game. What was the name of that movie that we saw right after we got back from this Chichen Itza?
Against All Odds.
Against All Odds, starring Jeff, famous movie star. Right. Against All Odds. We just get back from this Club Med, go to a movie, Against All Odds, and lo and behold, if they didn't have this whole complex in that movie. So we were so surprised because we just got back from there. This is our group.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, which is the son of Lloyd Bridges.
Right.
Yep. And there's Ruli over there in the hat, with her hand up on the hat there in the orange. Oh, there we go, wave. Okay, wave to the camera. There we go. That's Ruli right there. That's our group from Club Med. We took a side tour to Chichen Itza and got to see the whole complex. It's a big complex, ruins of Chichen Itza. This is the ball court, and where they played games. And this is the pyramids, and the different buildings. They have buildings all over the place. This complex, huge complex. They had buildings all over the place. And this was like a complex where they had those pillars right there, upstairs and downstairs, and they would have roofs. Originally they had roofs on top of those pillars. Those are like stone pillar, marble pillars, but they have roofs up there, and then underneath the roofs, in the shade, they would have big, huge markets and sell all their different products. Well, the roofs have since fallen, are gone, but the pyramids are still there. The pillars are still there. But they would have, that'd be the market where they would sell all their products from the whole area. They'd bring in all these different products, and the people would buy the products that were for sale there. And that's the different, where they have different stores and things. And just the ruins left of where those stores used to be. This is big, like a big, huge market. Just like a city. That's how big this place was. It's a big city where people lived. This is the way they did it, 1,000 years ago, or whatever it was, 1,500 years ago. And there goes Ruli. She's just waving at the camera right there. Big bag on her back and a hat on her head, and there she goes. And I'm filming away. She's going with the group, and then I have to hurry up and pick up my camera and run and go get the group. Oh, she's waving, and I'm zoomed in on her. There she is. And those steps, you could walk up those steps if you wanted to go all the way to the top there and go check out that complex. Now this is the pyramid. This is what was really fascinating, was this pyramid at Chichen Itza, Pyramid of the Sun, or whatever they called that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the amount of steps to that pyramid is 364 steps. And you can walk up those steps like this guy's doing here. And away you go. And when you get to the very top, that'd be the 365th step or something. It represents every day of the year. And you could go outside like that, walk up like he just did, and there happens to be steps on the inside of the pyramid that you can go up and down through the inside. I didn't go through the inside, but I did walk up those steps on the outside, which was pretty interesting. It's a little scary going up those steps, but it was doable. And on all four sides of that pyramid, they had a set of steps like that. You could walk up any one of those set of steps. They did have a chain went right down through the center of the steps, so you could use that to hang on to, just so you wouldn't fall. And that pyramid was just totally fascinating. Now, just one of the buildings on this complex, all different kinds of big buildings. There's another building. I have no idea what the building was used for. But there's all these various buildings on this complex. And there's a gargoyle. Or is it a garboy? That's a gargoyle, okay. Yeah, on the edge of that building. I can tell because it's got long hair, so that's why I knew it was a gargoyle. And there's another building, another gargoyle. One on each side of the stairs there. Look at that. Just those things that they made, just totally fascinating. All those statue things that they would attach to that. I don't know how they did that. It was a trick and a half, I'll tell you. And they had buildings and things all over this complex. They uncovered this complex, and so that they could have tourists to come and check all this out. Big business of all these tourists checking out Chichen Itza in Yucatan Peninsula, of all these ruins that have been lost for over 1,000 years. Over 1,000 years ago when they made these things. And then one day all the people just disappeared, and they don't know why they disappeared. If they just overproduced the land and they couldn't produce enough food, or if there was a big drought or disease or whatever, they just like mysteriously just disappeared, and that was the end of them. And never to be found again. Never lived in that complex again, ever. And they got overgrown, completely overgrown. The jungle took it over. And then maybe, I don't know, 75 years ago or whatever it was, something like that, they started uncovering all these buildings. And Chichen Itza, now they've got all uncovered so that people have access to this complex. There's a big complex like this at Mexico City also they've uncovered, but there happens to be other complexes. There's somebody coming down. There's a chain. See that chain right there in the middle? Hang on to that chain so you won't fall. But there's other complexes through the Yucatan Peninsula that are still completely overgrown, that they're still uncovering. They'll be uncovering these complexes for hundreds of years yet. So, you know, somebody's going to start coming down, and nope, they're just going to sit there. So that's what I did. I sat there, and then I started walking down the thing, but I'd hang on to that chain for my little rail type thing. There's another building on that complex. I have no idea what that building was used for. And that's how they made that building with all those stones. Very labor intensive. Get out of here. That's a lot of work to put something like that together. And this was like an observatory. And they would observe the stars and the planets and things like that from there, called the observatory. So they would do sky things from there, checking out all the various planets and the stars and things. So they knew a lot about that, and then they knew the concept of the number 0. They were the first ones to come up with the concept of the number 0. I believe this complex was made even before the pyramids in Egypt. This is really old. I think more than 1,000 years, a couple of thousand years or 3,000 years old, something like that, really old. nothing but ruins now, but there's a lot of tourists check this out all the time, every year. That was fun to take that as a side trip to go check this out from Club Med. I flew over to it from Club Med, flew over here to Chichen Itza, and they have their own little airport. They're a real small airport, just enough to land these little airplanes there. And another building there on that complex. You can see by all those trees and things how the trees and everything would eventually take over that complex if nobody was around to stop it. So they had to cut back all those trees and all that overgrowth to reveal these buildings again. As you flew from Club Med over to here, you could see every once in a while the big hump of this green stuff. You knew something obviously was underneath that big hump of green, which is another complex they've yet to uncover. There were buildings all over this complex. This is one of the largest complexes in Mexico at the time. It's just a big city is what it was. There's all kinds of tourists going all over the different levels of that thing. That guy was climbing up on his hands and knees going up the stairs. He was scared. Probably was me. And so, no, there's Rolly right there in the red. She doesn't know, but I'm taking a picture of her. She's digging through her things there. Oh! I yelled at her. I said, wave at the camera. And I had zoomed in on her. She's halfway up the steps right there. There's another gargoyle. Must not have been that hard to do because she just continued on. Oh, that was really right there. She's halfway up anyway. Most people don't have any trouble going up those steps. A lot of buildings there, Chichen Itza. When we were at Haltuco, they had a complex nearby at Oaxaca. The complex is kind of big like this at Oaxaca. But this one is at Chichen Itza. Buildings all over the place. And on top of those pillars there used to be a roof at one time, and you'd walk underneath the roof and be in shade, and they would sell all their products from underneath there. And there happens to be designs on those pyramids. There's pillars, I mean. Various designs on each one. There's round pillars there that held up the roof. And there's Rolly behind one of the pillars. Hello there. We're having a good old time, I'm telling you. This is way too much fun. She's waving. I'm taking pictures. And away we go. Yeah, she's coming this way now. And there she goes. Now all those pillars there held up that big, gigantic roof all over the place there. At one time, anyway. The roof is long gone. They sold all these products underneath there. Whatever products. They sold all their wares. And there's different people standing on different statues there and pretending like they're statuettes. Ta-da! Oh, look, there are 3 different people pointing, pretending like they're little statuette things. See? They're all pointing out there.